Today's our annual video where we talk about the rules for freedom, and I wanted to put a few of those out as you go out and you enjoy the freedom that's protected by the blue line and by the veterans who back the blue line. And when you go out today you're going to go out and get fireworks. Those of you who live in areas where it's legal, today's the day we celebrate when our founding fathers stood up and said we've had enough of rules, and if you make more rules and try to enforce the rules, we're going to kill you. That doesn't sound, well, it's the day when let me see if I can rephrase that in a little more patriotic way. Today's the day when our founding fathers signed a declaration, and when we celebrate, well, how do I say this? Today's the day when we celebrate that our founding fathers rose up and committed treason and killed the police. That doesn't sound right. Anyways, today's the day when we celebrate freedom in the United States of America, or America, because it's the only America that's relevant, even though the rest of the continent, the rest of the continent is actually larger than our side. Hello in there, everyone. Hello, Seim kids. I know those kids, freedom kids. And so, anyways, today's the day when we celebrate freedom. Now, a couple of the rules I want to remind you of. You can have a barbecue and things. I want you to teach your kids. Make sure you tell your kids that freedom is amazing, and that the veterans have protected our freedom, and that the police protect our freedom, and the need to honor that freedom. The other thing you're going to want to do, if you have a barbecue, of course, make sure you're only using government-approved alcohols and labeled. If you have the wrong alcohol, or if it's open in your car, or if your children touch the alcohol, you'll go to jail for all those things. If the government tries to take you to jail for any of the things I'm going to talk about in these videos, you don't want to actually defend what you think might be your freedom, because if you do, the government officials have permission to kill you, to kill you. Now, when you're at your house, you can light fireworks in some areas. Be aware of the rules, however, because, my friends, be aware of the rules, because generally the fireworks cannot go above your children's shoes. That's the legal limit for most fireworks. Speaking of legal limits, if you're above .00 or something, if you're doing anything, or if the container that might be alcohol is open in the vehicle, nothing will really happen to you other than, well, you'll be taken to jail and your total cost of all these things will be $10,000 to $15,000, which will go to the government and the tow company and the lawyers and the friends if you're over any of the. Oh, another thing. Providing you use the ATF-approved lighting fluid. If you're in an area where open flames are allowed, some areas those are restricted. If you're in an area, however, where there are restrictions in your home or your neighborhood, you may be able to choose a very specific park, and in that park there may be activities allowed. Be sure to read the list of rules. There are some parks where you can light fireworks, and if you get the approved, be sure that first of all the fireworks to celebrate the freedom, all right? The fireworks to celebrate the freedom, you can have at 5 p.m. and no later than July 5th at 11 p.m. Now, this doesn't mean you can only light between those times. It means that if you possess them between those times, the police will search you and you will be disciplined by the freedom protectors in your neighborhood. When you're at the park, be sure to read the rules, because there's going to be a few of those in celebration of freedom this weekend. A few of those, for example, no pets, no holding hands, no kissing, no sex. Of course, obviously, it's a family-friendly event. No bikinis, and no alcohol in the park. You can't bring fire into the park. You can only use gas grills, so don't try and bring the ATF-approved lighter fluid, because that is banned. All lighter fluids are banned in the park. 8 inches. No, it's feet, I believe. It's 8 by 8 feet. That's what freedom grants you this year. Just kind of going over the rules for freedom this year in America. Now, bear in mind that each park in each state is different. When it comes to the regulations for the fireworks, you have to submit to the federal law on fireworks pursuant to the Constitution and Article. Now, never mind, I guess the Constitution didn't give the federal government authority over of any of those things, but that doesn't really matter because this is freedom now, and the police and the veterans and stuff are fighting to protect the courts and the laws, the freedoms that tell you can't do that. Now, you have to respect the federal laws, and then you have to respect the state laws. If you're within those, you're probably good, but you should also check the county laws as well as the city laws, and then the community laws, and then the regulations for the park, because if you violate any of these, you may be subject to fine or arrest. And if you feel that you shouldn't be arrested and you resist, you will be charged with a felony and imprisoned or shot. Now, if in the process of the hot dogs and hamburgers, all of these, of course, must be FDA-approved foods by the federal government. If any of these foods, which are very filled with chemicals, make you sick, you may call your kids. Well, the kids will probably be fine. They bounce back pretty fast. However, if anyone gets really sick from the foods or the chemicals or anything that are FDA approved, you are actually allowed. You can call your friends who to give you a natural remedy for. Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry about that. Your friends all went to jail last year. They were charged by the feds and the FDA for illegal practice. If you have children, either cheer the police or the veterans, wave a flag, perhaps that's good. What you might do is wave maybe I have to apologize. The freedom of the internet tubes seems to be jamming me up a little bit today, friends. However, I think we've covered most of the rules. As you're at the parade loving freedom, I recommend, I was saying, your kids, maybe you could have a blue line flag and one of your children has all men are created equal flag, and then maybe do something to deal with the issues of the day. For example, like having one of your children have a deport the immigrant if they don't have the correct magical paper sign to go along with the all men are created equal sign. Maybe a support the prisons, the for-profit prisons. These are just some ideas as you go out today and really want to, if you really want to celebrate that freedom, I recommend a few of those things as you're doing that. Now, also ensure that if you're in the park or in a public place, that no children under 9 years old are without their parents. This could be considered child abandonment, and if this happens, you may go to prison, and then your children will be taken by the government and placed in a home of someone willing to cooperate with the government, who will also pay them $50,000 to $80,000 for your child. Well, it's an adoption is what we're calling that. So be aware of those things. Also, if you have teenage children, for example, a teenage son, we have some regulations regarding age lines that we've made. Obviously, we should always be moral. However, there are some government-created lines. For example, if your son is 19 and he is seen displaying PDA with his girlfriend who is 17, he will go to prison and be a sex offender for the rest of his life, and he won't be able to work or get a job or anything like that in most fields. So just be aware of just a few minor restrictions as we go out today. And there's a few more, but wait a minute. Shucks, Paul. We don't have no freedom. Well, just go out and celebrate the fact that you're not all dead yet, and we can at least still buy chemical-approved hot dogs. And that, if we resist, there's that. Those who resist, like Jeff Winehouse and Sheep Cox and Bo and the Texans and the natives and the blacks and the Mexicans and everyone that resists, you go to prison or you're shot by the police to protect freedom. Sorry about that to those families. A moment of silence for them. All right then, well, I think that about covers it. Make sure you follow the rules of freedom for 2018 as you celebrate freedom. I'm actually down here in Mako right now because, well, I had to leave the USA. I had to leave the USA to stay out of the concentration camps that are being filled to the brim with dissenters from our treasonous government and blue ISIS and presidents and politicians and Congress. I actually escaped down here to Mako. Oh, by the way, down here, there's no holiday today. We'll just go out and get some tacos. Oh, and, well, we can light fireworks any time of the year down here, so that's not really a problem. And, yeah, there's no such thing as for-profit prisons or an agency that takes away your kids because your house wasn't clean enough, or, well, yeah, there's no such thing as most of those things. So also you can buy herbs and prescribe herbs, and you can do all those. Anyways, as you mourn today, as we mourn for the USA on today's 4th of July, just remember what freedom really looks like and what it doesn't.